Why do League of Legends players all hate Teemo? This is a pretty obvious question to anyone that plays League. Everyone has a story about how they had a perfect game going, they just got a kill or two, and they were gonna back to base and buy an item when a minion runs into a shroom and takes out their last sliver of health. But Teemo has garnered a special kind of hatred about him over the years, a hatred that has existed ever since League of Legends as a game came out. Why does everyone and their grandmother hate this cute little rat thing? A good word to sum it all up is frustration. It's frustrating playing against Teemo, and as we said in yesterday's video, there are two types of frustration in League of Legends. Firstly, frustration from something feeling like it takes no skill, and secondly, frustration from something that feels like it has no counterplay. Teemo is the embodiment of a champion that has no counterplay. Everyone has a champion they hate playing against because it feels like you can't do anything against them, right? Well, that's Teemo in a nutshell. In the early days of League, Teemo was actually a bit more viable in the top lane compared to today, since a lot of other top laners at the time had a very hard time dealing with him. For example, three pretty popular champions to take top lane back in the day were champions like Singed, Jax, and eventually Aurelia when she came out. Look how Teemo has played against all those champions. Against Singed and most other melee champions at the time, Teemo had free reign to auto-attack harass them. Every auto he throws out applies damage over time poison. Once an auto hits you because you had the audacity to go and try and last hit something, you take damage that you can't prevent. There's no way to play against it. A lot of these early champions also didn't have as much movement compared to some of the champions you see today, so if a Singed or a Cho'Gath or whoever decided, this is dumb, I'm just letting him harass me until I'm dead, let's go for a trade instead and maybe we can outplay him like that, Teemo could just press W and walk away, dodging any skill shots you throw out at him and not letting his opponents initiate, continuing his endless sea of harass. He had free reign to harass everybody, and it felt like there was no way to play against it, especially for the melee champions at the time. The same thing went for a lot of the champions that did have hard gap closers like Aurelia and Jax. These champions that, these abilities let them initiate a lot easier and go for those traits on Teemo, also were typically auto-attack oriented and got a lot of their damage from auto-attacks, so Teemo could just blind them with his Q and taking away a majority of their damage for a full 2 seconds and then walking away yet again if they try and CC him, just pressing W, move quicking away, and if they chase after, he can of course lead them through a forest of mushrooms. Higher rated players figured out how to play against him eventually, and he's not necessarily all that good, especially by today's standards. He doesn't fit into a team that well, he's not tanky enough to really be a bruiser top lane, but he doesn't really have any burst to go down mid lane. But the annoyingness of this feeling like there's no counterplay against a champion is what makes them feel frustrating, and Teemo has always been the embodiment of this for most top laners that's created this meme. There's probably more than a few champions out there that you'll play against in League that feel frustrating for this very same reason. You don't know how to play against them. Maybe you hate Riven because you're typically a really good player at timing opponents' cooldowns and trying to think to yourself, okay, she just used her shield, let's go in and trade here, maybe we can go for a kill, only to find her shield pop up and save her from dying to your ignite or something 4 seconds later and even letting her get a kill on you if that's the case. Or maybe you hate the movement of other champions like Lee Sin, Kalista, or Yasuo. Maybe you hate the slows of champions like Nasus or the auto attack slows from Nasus and Malphite. There's plenty of different champions out there that might have annoying abilities that you don't know how you're supposed to play against them. Typically when you find one of these champions though that feel like they have no counterplay, the best thing you can do is go into a game with that champion and play them for yourself. Think to yourself for a moment, if you can't beat them, join them, and then let the other players in the community expose the weaknesses of that champion for you. And then of course, clasp your hands together, kneel, and pray to the heavens that Riot will never release a champion like Teemo ever again. Thank you very much for watching, good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.